Today, on yet another reset of patch 10.2.5, we are talking about what awaits us in the next few months. What I'm talking about by what awaits us is, of course, what Blizzard themselves told us was going to come in the next few months. They gave us literally a roadmap on what was going to be released month after month for basically the next 9 months of this 2024. Because there are, amongst these, a few interesting bits that are worth talking about and trying to speculate, especially with the supposed release of patch 10.2.6 at this point very close. This is the roadmap. This is where we are right now. This is the very end of winter. Let's just call it out for those who are not familiar with the dates of the seasons. The end of winter is the 21st of March. Here is my paint skills. There you go. 21st of March is when winter ends, and this is also when 10.2.6 is supposed to release before this date. Now, considering there is only a couple of resets before this date, there is the 12th and the 19th, that's presumably when we're gonna get patch 10.2.6. That's the first bit that we are getting. However, that's definitely not the main juicy point of this roadmap. Season 4 is a big one. You also have the pre-patch, the actual expansion, why not? Even the beta of the next expansion are some big dates to go for. Now, much like this end of winter is the 21st of March, this end of spring is gonna be the 21st of June, either the end of spring or the beginning of summer, whichever one you prefer. And then, of course, we have the end of summer, which is gonna be the 21st of September. 21, nice, there you go. These are the base dates of the seasons and what's supposed to come in between these seasons. The big one is, of course, Season 4. There's been plenty of speculation ever since this roadmap was announced, which was about here, basically, is when we got the roadmap, about when Season 4 was going to come. Now, we can just go back on the previous seasons, Season 1 and Season 2, as well as this Season 3, to try to point out how much they lasted. Well, that's pretty simple, actually. You have the expansion coming out in November and Season 2 coming out in May, which is 6 months. And then you have the Season 2 coming out in May with Season 3, this season, coming out in November again, which is another 6 months. So both of the previous seasons lasted 6 months. However, we also got the news that Season 4 was supposed to be somewhat shorter than those 2 previous seasons. If we were to give the length of Season 3 to be as long as the others, then from the 14th of November, Season 4 would have to come out on basically the 14th of May, after 6 months, much like Season 1 duration of Dragonflight. However, this is where things start getting a little bit wonky. The middle of spring is right here, right? The middle between the 21st of March and the 21st of June. The 3-month gap, 1.5 months in the middle, that's the 5th of May, right? And as you can see, Season 4 is supposed to be coming out before the 5th of May. And 10.2.7 with the mysterious pandemonium time-running event is supposed to come in the second part of spring. So Season 4 is technically supposed to come between the 21st of March and the 5th of May. The same treatment can be given for this middle, right? The middle of summer, 1.5 months after the 21st of June, which is, again, more or less the 5th of August. That is also the middle of summer, right? Now you have the blocks divided. You have the expansion being around here, pre-patch being around here, 10.2.7 around here, and Season 4 around here. We also have a couple of extras, a couple of bonus points, which are the alpha and the beta of the War Within. If we were to go precisely by where they put this, the alpha would be here and the beta would be here. So precisely where they were placed, the alpha would have to come right before the beginning of spring, and the beta would have to come out right after the beginning of summer. So the alpha would have to be somewhere in the realm of like the 18th, wait, this color is terrible, something like the 18th of March. Whereas the beta, this is more important, especially because if you pre-order the expansion, you do get the access to the beta. This would have to come right after June, so something like the 25th of June. That's when the beta will become available, right? These are the extra dates for the alpha and the beta of the next expansion. Then you have the actual release of Season 4. Now, at this point, it's going to be a toss-up on when exactly it's going to come out in between this gap. The earliest guess could probably be 1 month after the release of 10.2.6. It's hard to imagine to have the season come out less than a month before this patch, especially since we know that the PTR of this season will only unlock once this patch is released. So we would have even, a fewer than a month long PTR for this season, which is going to be kind of weird, right? So we can say at the very earliest, this patch could come out around the 20th of April, which is a bit over a month and a half from now, as a release of Season 4. This patch then could also be somewhere in the middle between the 5th of May and the 21st of June, somewhere around basically the beginning of June, let's say. The 2nd of June is when this patch would come out, which is also a good month and a half-ish since the release of the season, which makes sense. And then you have the pre-patch, right in the middle of the first part of summer. So let's say the 15th or the 20th of July. And finally, this leaves us with the actual expansion in between the 5th of August and the 21st of September. Again, somewhere like the 30th of August, yeah. Now, this leaves us with some considerations to have. Number one, technically speaking, this expansion has been put out to come out basically technically right as summer is ending, right? Summer ends here, they put the point of the expansion here, but then again, on the site, this expansion is guaranteed to come out before the end of the year, right? Before the 31st of December. So technically, we don't really know when this is coming out, but based on where they put it, it should come out by the end of summer. This would put Season 4 coming out in April, ending in September. So essentially 5 months long, which makes somewhat sense. Season 1 lasted 6 months, Season 2 lasted 6 months, and then Season 3 lasted 5 months, and Season 4 lasted 5 months. That could be a good, sensible time frame for the 4 seasons of the expansion. Then you also have the time frame of the pre-patch. We are used to have a 1 to 1.5-ish months duration for a pre-patch. If this were to come the 20th of July and the expansion were to come out the 30th of August, would also make sense time-wise to have this 6 weeks long pre-patch. That would also be sensible in terms of timings. What really puts this timeline in place is something less conspicuous, something that we have ignored up to this point, which is 11.0.5. We haven't actually mentioned this patch at all up to now, because this is directly tied to something that already exists in the game. Up to this point, this is a question mark, this is a question mark. We don't really have anything certain about any of this. Yes, they are put somewhere in the timelines. We could say this must mean it's coming in summer, this must mean it's coming before the end of spring, etc., etc. But it's all speculation. It's all something Blizzard put on a roadmap. They are not 100%, certain to follow, etc., etc. However, amongst all of this, there is something that they have been following for the past several years, over a decade in fact, which is the anniversary event. This anniversary event being tied to patch 11.0.5 means they are tied to this exact time, which is the anniversary of the release of WoW, which was early November. And ever since then, the anniversary event has come out somewhere between the beginning and the end of November, depending, of course, on the timing of the patches at the time. For example, the last anniversary we had began on the 16th of November. The one before that, at the beginning of Dragonflight, began on the 7th of November. The one the year before that began on the 16th of November. So those are the times for the anniversary event. So the fact that we have this event right here actually existing 100% for real, as it has for years now, we know that from this time onwards, we are in November already, right? This is the limit. This is where November starts. So you do know that everything that comes before needs to be in the timeline for this patch to come out in November, because this patch is tied with the anniversary event, which always comes out around November. So this puts you at a more reasonable position for this expansion to come out at this date right now. You know, you have heard recently players point out that perhaps this expansion might be coming out maybe November, maybe December. You know, they put, after all, in their own shop that the expansion will come out at the very latest on the 31st of December, so they think Blizzard might extend this to be that late. However, we do know of the existence of the anniversary event right now. So with this one coming out in November, it starts making sense why this patch would come out, for example, late August, early September. You know, if it were to come out, even not here, but for example, the 7th of September, then a couple of months later, you could have the anniversary event for World of Warcraft. This timeline seems to make sense based on the spacing of the patches, as well as the anniversary event coming late this year. And that's it. That's what the video was about. It was to try to save our possible dates for the timeline to then, perhaps by the end of this year and by the release of the expansion, looking back at exactly how many of these dates ended up being correct, trying to follow Blizzard's own roadmap to see if their own placement on the supposed releases of each and every patch, how much of it exactly ended up being truthful and how many of these ended up being delayed by a whole bunch. So this is our take on the dates of the 2024 roadmap for the patch releases of Dragonflight leading up to the release of the next expansion, together with the release of the beta and the alpha for the War Within as well. So this is what we have for today on this Wednesday, on this EU weekly reset. Besides this, I'm going to leave you all to the rest of the beginning of your reset. Thanks, of course, as usual, to everyone who has been supporting by going through Patreon, and also everyone who is doing it for free. Liking and commenting down below on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. Now, with these pointless things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, oh my god, sneaky, painful, pulsing jaw pain is not a cool thing.